Well, guys, I'll try to keep this one short and sweet. The Blue Jays lose their first heartbreaker of the year, I would say, versus the New York Mets as they drop it 3-2 and fall to 5-4 on the season. We'll do a quick recap here, and I'll give my thoughts on a few things that are going on in the online discourse right now. Basically, the Blue Jays had a ton of runners. They got 14 guys on, I think, and they were able to put up 2 runs. So how did that look? First inning, Bassitt flies out, Guerrero Jr. strikes out, so you get 2 outs right away from your big guys, and then Santander walks, Jimenez singles, so you got first and third with 2 out. Kirky strikes out looking, breaking ball catches the top of the zone. It was a bit of a hanger. He's frozen, you get nothing. Chris Bassitt was dialed in, and props to him. I feel terrible for him in this game because he pitched his butt off and he deserved better. And then in the second inning, you've again, Springer strikes out, Wagner strikes out to start the inning, so you're down to 2 outs right away. Straw singles to left, Roden walks. 2 runners on with 2 outs. Bassitt flies out to center field. He put a pretty good swing on it, but ultimately just a routine fly ball. So there's 2 opportunities right off the hop, unable to come through. As I say, Bassitt's still cruising at this point. Guerrero, Santander, Jimenez go 3 up, 3 down in the third. Bassitt's cruising. You only get 1 base runner in the fourth for the Blue Jays, so not really a big deal. And then in the fifth against Griffin Canning. Keep in mind, this is all on Griffin Canning. He's not the world's best pitcher. He's got some all right stuff, but he's a guy you should be beating, especially in this matchup with Chris Bassitt. I don't really care how his first start went. This is a guy we need to get to if we want to be a serious team. Alan Roden singles to right to start the inning off. Bassitt singles to center. Alan Roden moves to second. So you got first and second, nobody out with the meat of your order coming up. Vladdy singles to left, scores a run, makes it 1-0 Blue Jays. All right. So we've got first and second, no out, and a run scored. Things are looking good, right? No out, 2 base runners. Santander lines out. Bassitt moves up to third base. Jimenez walks. So you've now got the bases loaded with 1 out. Kirky strikes out swinging. And I believe this is the time when he struck out on a pitch that was way up and out of the zone. It was like a foot out of the strike zone. And then Springer grounds out to the shortstop on just a routine ground ball. So you've got a run scored with 2 runners on and nobody out. Then you've got bases loaded with 1 out, and you come away with only the 1 run in total. Just inexcusable stuff from the offense. Bassitt's still cruising through 5. He goes 3 up, 3 down. Same type of thing in the 6th. You start out with 2 outs right away. Wagner and Straw both get out. Roden doubles an absolute rope. I think it was like 106 miles an hour into the gap. Bassitt then doubles, scoring Roden, making it 2-0. Thinking, hey, maybe we can tack on another one here. Guerrero Jr. lines out to center field, ends the inning. So again, just, runners in scoring position, multiple guys on base, unable to do anything with it. Chris Bassitt, cruising through 6, again goes 3 up, 3 down. Just looking phenomenal. Brazaban comes in for the Mets. Actually, he came in against Guerrero Jr. the previous inning, but then he had a clean inning for them in the 7th. And then bottom of 7 is when the wheels start to fall off and things get a little bit weird. So Chris Bassitt gets Nimmo to ground out, Winker to ground out. Vientos then singles to left. And here's the tricky part. So Bassitt's at 90 pitches with Brett Beatty coming up. The online discourse is you let Bassitt go here. And this is all on John Schneider for the way the game ultimately goes here. I agree. I probably would have liked to see Bassitt stay in here. I was surprised when it happened. When they went to the bullpen, I was kind of like, oh man, 90 pitches. He went over 100 last outing. It's Brett Beatty up. But at the same time, we do know how things go the 3rd time through the lineup. He's a lefty bat. And you're bringing in Jimmy Garcia. You've got to... If you can't trust Jimmy, who can you trust in this bullpen, right? That isn't named Hoffman, basically. Those are your 2 guys. So I assumed at this moment, Jimmy's going to come in, get Beatty, and then he'll come back out and pitch the 8th, right? That's the sensible thing that you would imagine would happen. Wrong. So Beatty ends up getting 2 strikes on him right away. Fastball left over the plate. He singles. Vientos goes to third. Siri, who's a weak hitter, ends up then walking. And then he gets Marte to ground out. So he ends up getting out of it with the bases loaded, but he ends up burning 10 pitches. And when you're talking about a setup man type arm, blowing 10 pitches in that inning, you can't really send him out for a second inning. I guess you could, but they'd be more in tune with the workloads that they're prepared to give these guys, especially early on in the year when you're looking at maybe pitching them tomorrow as well, or how you want to conserve their energy. I get why you don't throw him out there given how many pitches he ended up using. But like I say, he's got to come in and just get Beatty out there. And if he doesn't, you can't be walking Siri. Siri is probably the weakest hitter on their team. And you're giving him a free pass to get on base with the way that their top of the order is. You don't want to go back around and face that again any more than you have to, or in any more crucial situations than you have to. So, Jimmy really could have done better there. Brazaban shuts him down again in the 8th. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Lindor walks, and this is now Brendan Little pitching. So last game, the 6th inning, we needed to go to Brendan Little because he's the guy to get the lefties out. And it was too high leverage being down 2 in the 6th inning for Fluharty. So they go to Little this time. He walks Lindor. He's got the lefty-lefty matchup with Soto. I get it. Soto's really good. Soto singles, makes it 1st and 2nd. He strikes out Alonso, which is the huge get. That's probably the one you're most worried about, like with the lefty-righty matchup there anyways. Then he gets Nimmo to line out, which is another lefty-lefty. And then you've got Winker coming up. Lefty-lefty. So you're liking your odds here. 1st and 2nd, 2 out, but you've got the lefty-lefty matchup. You've got Brendan Little, who you trust. He's probably 3rd or 4th in our kind of trust circle in the bullpen here. And unfortunately, he's unable to get it done as he ropes one to right field over George's head. It goes off the wall. George probably, on a warm, sunny day with a clear sky and a good jump, he probably makes this catch, but what is he now, 35 years old? 35-year-old George Springer in the wet field and all that is unable to get to it, crashes into the wall, gets up hurt, ends up throwing the ball back in before leaving the game injured. So anyways, Lindor scores, Soto scores. We've got a 2-2 ball game, bottom of 8. Not what you want to see. Nick Sandlin comes in and gets Mark Vientos out, gets out of the inning, and we're heading to the 9th tied. So at this point, the team has to regroup, has to rebound, has to prove what they're made of, right? Like, nobody is really doing their job. The offense is struggling. Jimmy Garcia comes in, lets up all those, a couple hits there, burns himself out with 10 pitches. Brendan Little, who's supposed to be your higher leverage lefty, comes in and he gets kind of shelled there and doesn't get the job done. And the offense has had 14 base runners and hasn't been able to get any more than 2 runs across. So Rodon strikes out against Edwin Diaz. Bichette singles. Guerrero gets a lucky one there. He gets an infield single. So you've now got 1st and 2nd, 1 out. So again, what else is new? 2 runners on, 1 out. The meat of your order is still in here. Santander strikes out again, and he has looked absolutely trash to start this year. I don't want to be too critical of him because, again, it's 9 games in or whatever. But, man, not getting any home runs, not getting any pop out of those first 3 are really starting to bother me. Everybody moves up on a wild pitch, and then not only does Santander strike out, but then Jimenez strikes out on ball 4 that is thrown at his feet. So, needless to say, bottom of 9th, Nick Sandlin still pitching. He walks Siri again. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know how you're not challenging Siri. Siri moves up to 2nd on a wild pitch. Torrens, the catcher for the Mets, ends up singling to left, moving Siri up to 3rd. And then Lindor hits a sac fly to center field where, they made a good effort getting it into home plate, but it was pretty clear that they were going to score from 3rd base there with the speed that Siri has. Basically anything to the outfield would have scored him. So I get it. I get the whole outrage about, why did Schneider pull Bassitt? But 14 base runners and all of this traffic with 1 out, with 2 out, runners in scoring position, nobody coming through, no home runs. Jimmy Garcia can't get his job done. I mean, Brendan Little can't get his job done. Fluharty can't be used in the 6th inning yesterday because that's too high leverage for him. Nick Sandlin implodes in the 9th inning and, okay, he's not a 9th inning guy. I mean, like I say, I get it. Schneider could have done better there, but you need somebody, one of the players, to show up and do their job. And we're way too complacent with these players, I find. Like, I get blaming the management. And like I say, I agree that Schneider made a mistake there. But we really let these guys that are making, $10 and $20 million a year to do their job off the hook super easy with this fan base sometimes. And I don't know if that's just a Toronto thing or if that's all fan bases, but you look at the way this game played out and the amount of opportunities they had to score runs and the amount of opportunities for a reliever to walk in and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't be the guy in the 8th inning, but you know what? I'm going to buckle down and get some outs here. I'm a major league pitcher. Like, nobody seems to want it that bad. Everyone just kind of seems to be like, well, no, this is kind of, out of my pay range. I don't need to step up and do this. We need to bring guys in that can step up and do this stuff. And it's not a good mentality to have. It's not like, if even the fans are seeing it and saying, oh, yeah, these are too high leverage spots for Fluharty in the 6th inning, and Little can't go up against lefties in the 8th inning because that's too high leverage, and Jimmy can't come in to spell Bassitt there because he doesn't like any inning that isn't a clean slate. He can't come in with runners on base. Then what are you doing? Like, that is your job. You get paid millions of dollars to get batters out. I don't care if we called a Jimmy with bases loaded in the 1st inning. He's paid $7.5 million a year, and he's supposedly your best non-closer reliever. I don't care if it's the start of the game and you call him to be an opener. His job is to get batters out. So it's troubling to me that we're completely willing to let all of the position players and all of the pitchers off the hook and blame the management in a game that was definitely botched in a group effort. But anyways, that's just my little rant on the topic. I'm pretty pissed at everybody at this point. Like, nobody seems to want to step up. And, don't even get me started on all these Vladdy rumors with the $500 million and all that stuff. Because, yeah, he's hitting some singles and stuff like that. But, I mean, could he just step up and hit one clutch hit? And this is going off topic, but like he's had 6 playoff games in the wild card series over 3 different appearances, and he's hitting like 150 with no home runs, no doubles, I think maybe 1 RBI. Last year at the start of the year, he was terrible. At the start of this year, when the games matter, he's hitting singles, which is great, but I mean, last I checked, Luis Arias isn't getting $500 million. You're paid to be Aaron Judge, not Luis Arias. Like, can somebody step up, please? Anyways, that's where I'll leave it off. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts, all that stuff. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.